Is this one working? This one is working as well. Now check the audio here. You need me.
Internet.
Yes.
Can I check if, because in my slide I have a video, I don't know if I can check if the sound is good.
Can you also video first? Look at internet, I mean.
Yeah. Well, you asked me to trust a certificate. Which certificate? This video is not available.
It's not available.
It says.
You are not connected.
You're not connected. Okay, it has to be added one. That's the fastest connection. And then, but which video is it?
That's my video.
But why is it not available? You made it private.
It's still private?
So, this one?
This one, yeah. Is it possible to check the sound?
Yes. Can we have sound? Technics? Why? Technician, can we have sound on the computer? Just for test.
Downloading the video and then play it offline. That would be much efficient.
And can you test image of the computer? This cable. Thank you. So this. Sorry. It's yes. Try again. Okay, it's too. This is low.
Too loud.
And also I like how to search things by using Google.
The thing that I have enjoyed from the training is about using computer, knowing different things that I can just try to create by using computer.
When I go back to school, I'd like to teach my fellow students that, especially girls, that we can invent and create stuff that are out of this world.
What's your video? Yes, okay, it's here. Yeah, okay.
So it has downloaded.
Do you want to download it?
I see. How do we download it?
You can add double S here before Y. Just here after that.
Yeah.
No,
SS.
No, just here. No, after this period.
There.
SS. Then press enter. It's not free in Europe, but in Africa I do this all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So let's use somebody.
Yeah. This is.
Can I see the director of presentations, like the folder, the set of presentation?
Hi. We are delayed, but I think half of the audience is also delayed. Gives me time to make some announcements. I was just advised that in our program, we programmed the session Have Fun with Computer Science Without Computers in the computer room. So that's a mistake. And I will try to... Can the technician, can the video go to screen? Can the laptop go to screen? Let me see. So this is July 21. No, it's VGA. Where is it? Where is it? How late was this scheduled? Half 10? No. There's no workshop scheduled at 11. Are there still people in the hall? Somebody should go get them, because in 5 minutes we have a fantastic plenary again. And in the meantime, somebody will work on projection. We have great lunches, and actually we paid for it. We paid a fair price. But the reason we have such good food, I think we paid a fair price for good food, and we get super great food. And that's because these people normally cater for artists. They travel from festival to festival and have this high demanding artistic clientele. They're also used to put up a box if you really liked it more than I express with my payment. So today after lunch there will be a box where you can express your feelings about the food. I still have no... Maybe I picked the wrong cable. Technician is coming down. Half of you enjoyed great evening program yesterday in Marché des Douves. I hope the other half will also join us for tonight. We have a great program at iBoat, and well, the only program is that Sam will perform. There's also open mic if you wish, but there's mainly relax and calm down for life after this conference. And it's easily reachable, but it's because it's on the good part of the B line. It's the north part, you know, which is not blocked. So within 5 or 10 minutes, you're from downtown Bordeaux, next to Cap Science, and then it's a 5-minute walk to iBoat. What else should I say? Do we have? Yes, we have. That's me? Yes, that's me. Could Mary tell me which session I should change? Somebody closed all my files. Then I have a sponsor message. We're close to the African plenary. One of our sponsors, SAP, is very active in Africa Code Week, and they want to spend some more money in Africa Code Week, and you can help. It's as easy as tweeting the 2 hashtags in yellow in a single tweet. Let's see. This is the map of Bordeaux with the blocked tram line, but iBoat is the star in number 1. It's there, and you see it's very near to Cap Science. one of the tricks which until today worked very good, and I'm totally expecting it will work for another day very good, is to not prepare too much on the plenary sessions and give full freedom to the keynote speakers. I invited Africans on stage. No, I should say one thing, because I noticed that a lot of you don't read. Because you ask questions I published online, like how the Wi-Fi works, how the poster works, where is Bordeaux, how to get there, etc. We also published why Africa is in the picture. It's because of last year's Scratch conference at MIT, where two special things happened. It was a glamorous entry of Bubble 103 at the opening plenary together with Mitch, doing things with Scratch all of us didn't thought were possible in a very responsible way. It was the learning that most of scratching in Africa goes unnoticed because they're offline. And it was because on internet I met Marian Muthui from Kenya, who developed a scratch and sketchboard without money. And it's really better than Pico board, made in Kenya, $45, and Europeans don't buy it. It's about Marian Muthui. I tell something more about her because unfortunately her visa was denied. And so just to remind, you go to the Africa page, read it, and then there's this story. This is the story of a powerful African woman, and she's not the only one, but she's a little unnoticed. Yes, this is rocket science, and one day I will go into space. And that's the starter. At just 26, Marian Muthui is making an indelible mark in the technology world. Her dream is to see Kenya to be a maker and not just a user of tech products. I see a future where Kenya is a producer of computing rather than a consumer, where students are creating software instead of learning about software that has already been created, she asserts. However, her even bigger desire is to go into space with a rocket she will make by herself. This about Mercy. If you want to hear more, you should invite her and do it better with the visa application. There's more story about why Africa is on stage, and I think without further ado, I should pass on the mic. Yes, I will do. Who will open the session? All the way from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, where's Funja?
Bonjour. Good morning, everyone. So my name's Rose Funja. I'm here today to talk to you about She Codes for Change. I'm here with my team, one of my co-founders, Abela, and also our program manager. So I come from Tanzania. Tanzania is in the eastern part of Africa, one of the largest countries. We speak Swahili and English. It's a home to 50 million people. And also, we have one of the very highest and the very lowest point in Africa. Highest because we have the Mount Kilimanjaro. And then lowest because we have Lake Tanganyika, which is the deepest in Africa. I would like to talk about the programs that we do with She Codes for Change. We started our programs, we started the organization in 2014 after going to one of the very prestigious program. It's called Young African Leadership Program in 2014, a program that was started by President Obama. So when we went back home, we started She Codes for Change, and one of the first things that we did was do a coding camp. And with this, we did three things, which was mechatronics, electronics, web application and games for 45 girls. That was 2015, and then this is the girls showing their projects to parents and visitors, and then we also make the girls pitch their projects to everyone who comes at the graduation day of their programs. After that, we launched another project, which is Girls in ICT. With this, we work countrywide with 240 girls for the past 2 consecutive years, so a total of 480 girls, teaching them using the MIT App Inventor to develop mobile applications. We take some of the girls, so we have 3 sessions. The first session is we go to the zones, we teach them that, they make projects, applications, and then we take a team that comes to the city center where we do like industrial visits, take them around, and then they do one final session in which they present the applications. So those who do well, they get to go to Addis Ababa for the summit of the Girls in ICT. I would like to show you a bit of what we did this year.
I am 14 years old.
My name is Clara Ildefonse Makonga.
My name is Filipina Purchase Mishine.
My name is Swabra. I am 16 years old.
I come from Montessori Maria Secondary School.
I came from Bea Secondary School in Bea Living.
I come from the Bela Secondary School.
In future, I'd like to be a doctor, since that has always been my dream ever since I was a little girl.
In the future, I would like to be an engineer, only because I'm very creative and I like to use technology on solving things. In the future, I would like to be a pilot because I like to travel all over the world to see different places, to fly people safely.
I enjoyed the training very much, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't even know that existed. I didn't even know that one could create his or her program, so I'm really inspired by the program and the training as well.
In this training, I like how to build apps by using MIT Inventor, and also I like how to search things by using Google.
Well, it's on YouTube, you could see that. I'm looking for this. Okay, so we have other projects, but then just to finish it up, because we're in Scratch Conference, I would like to say what we're looking forward to is in this year, we added A in STEM, because our focus is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but then we decided to put in arts and design. But by that time, we actually didn't know what we were going to do with the arts and design. So when we came to this conference, I think we found exactly what we're going to do. I've used Scratch before, but we've never taught that in our classes. So we came with a thinking that we would learn more about Scratch and go and teach. However, what we found is different ways where we can actually do the A that we've been wanting to do, pulling girls who have not only wanting to be engineers, but then those who wants to use programs, but then they have interest in other things, be it embroidery, be it music, and that's what we found here, and that's what we're going to do. So watch out for us. There's more programs that are coming from our end. Thank you.
Okay, this we've done. And where is Adel?
Adel Kassah,
Third. Okay, here's your clicker. And here's your
Hello everybody, I'm Adel Kassah. I'm from Tunisia. It's a small country in the north of Africa. We are mainly Arabic speaking country, so we use with kids Scratch in Arabic, but also we also speak French as a second language. So why I'm here? Why I was engaged, I mean, with Scratch. These three words were really very important in my life, and that's why now I'm here in this Scratch conference. I'm super happy to be here because I'm used to see these conferences just on Twitter, on YouTube, and now so I'm really happy to meet you, all of you. So for the Imagine part, I saw, you know, all of you, you know this of Steve Jobs, and I imagined this in my country. I said, why we don't start to teach coding also in Tunisia since very young age like the other countries. And I spoke with two responsible on the Ministry of Education, and I remember two phrases. One of them, she said to me, Adel, you want to teach coding to kids, and in Tunisia, in our countryside, there is a lot of kids, they don't even a computer, they didn't even see a computer. So how can you start directly with coding? The other thing, phrase, it was like, Adel, we can maybe teach Scratch for 9th grade pupils. So, and I was thinking that starting with Scratch at 15 years old is too old. So I really wanted that we start with coding and Scratch very early. So what I did, this is the program part of Scratch. So I want, making workshops, and I wanted to show to the others that we can do, our kids, they can program. So this is one of these workshops. They were in the countryside. To go there, I walked a lot, and to come back, I have to hitchhike. So these girls, we did a workshop about Arduino, and I'm sure that it was the first time that they use a computer, and they started directly with Arduino programming and blocks programming. And they were really super excited about this. I remember a phrase also about this. One kid, he asked me, Mister, when are you coming back? And it was really hard for me to answer this question. This is another workshop. It was in the city of Sidi Bouzid. I think most of you, some of you I know, they know the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring started from this city, and I was pleased to make like the first programming workshops with Arduino. And the good thing is that after this workshop, this association was engaged with robotics and programming, and the next year they won a robotic competition for the kids. So, and their robot was Arduino made, so I was like contributing to this. Oops. This is another workshop. It was like training for teachers. So this woman, we used at that time Scratch for Arduino version, and this woman is a teacher. She is sport teacher actually, so no connection with the technology. And after she really enjoyed the workshop like the others, and she said to me, you know, Adel, I didn't know that electronics and programming was so exciting. So maybe if I had this kind of workshops before when I was younger, I could easily change from, my career. So too bad that it was too late for her. So, and I hope that we will not do the same error for the next generation. This is another photo that I really love. It's in my hometown in Yaba. It's a small island in the south of Tunisia. And as you can see, this girl, she was like super concentrated, plugging all the wire into the Arduino board. And it was really nice to see my work in my home country, in my home town. So I really traveled from north to south, of Tunisia, doing a lot of workshops. So I see some impacts. One of them is this kid. He is 7-year-old, and he is, as you can see, he's programming with Blockly and in Arabic, in a local language. and he is programming an Arduino robot. In Tunisia, robotics is very expensive, so we can't afford ourselves to buy the Lego Mindstorm or Timio. They are super expensive. So because I think part of my work was to introduce robotics with Arduino, because it is very cheap. So we made a lot of workshops, and this is the result. Now in Tunisia, kids from the age of 6 and 7, they start directly working with robotics, electronic robotics. The sharing part was the most exciting thing. So the Scratch Ed site, I shared my first experiences there. And in Tunisia, when I started doing this, nobody understood what I was really doing. So I get very positive feedback from the outside of Tunisia, like the United States, like Korea, like Brazil. So all this community, they really gave me a lot of energy to continue the work. So I'm here because of the Scratch Ed site, and it is a super great site. So I really invite you to visit the site. And the second site is my site. It's easycoding.en. I put there all my workshops, the conferences that I made, and all the things that I really like. So thank you so much.
Next is Marian Muthui from Kenya.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marian, and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, which is the home of long-distance runners and the true home of Obama, which, by the way, thank you, and you're welcome. So, yes. Yeah, okay. So my background is in mechanical engineering, and I remember my first day of university. I entered into a room like this. It was a huge lecture room, and I was late, admittedly. And the first lesson that was happening that day was chemistry. So because I was late, I didn't want the lecturer to see me, so I just hid myself somewhere at the back. And I just took a glance across the room to figure out, who are these people, who are these classmates? And one thing that stood out to me was, where are the girls? I couldn't quite figure it out. I looked across the room and just seeing like a sea of boys. So later on, I got to realize that in my class of over 100 students, we were just 10 girls in the whole class. And this is just not my story. It's everyone's story, especially for women in STEM. And this is a prevalent issue which happens not only in Africa, but across the world. And so I set out to do something about it. And I founded the Mekatilili program, which was with support of IDIN, which is a program within the D Lab in MIT. And I just set out to inspire and expose girls to engineering and also just STEM programs in general. So with the girls, we conduct design thinking and engineering initiatives. We work on projects from ideation to brainstorming, and we prototype, working on challenges with regards to energy, water, and waste, and they come up with these amazing ideas. So now we are even partnering with local universities and other local initiatives in Nairobi to come up with, to increase the program and work on electronics, physical computing, and just something just to get them innovating. And that's what I'm about. I'm about innovating and building the innovation and maker culture in Africa. And in Kenya, we see a lot of that happening. Right now, there's like a revolution whereby digital technology is really taking the lead in Africa. And my place and what I want to do is to nurture innovation and to grow them through the Mekatilili program, which aims to build technical expertise, build creative confidence, and to foster social cohesion among the youth in Africa. So I am open to reach out to me at any of my, I think my contact information is up there, and reach out to me. I'll be interested to hear how we can engage in promoting innovation in not only Kenya, but in Africa in general. Thank you.
Show is not over. Alphonse Habyarimana from Kigali, Rwanda. Let's escape. Which one's yours? Are we in? Here we are.
Bonjour, good morning. My name is Alphonse Habyarimana. I'm from Kigali, Rwanda. I'm the manager and developer of Kepler Tech Lab, which is a social innovation center and engineering teaching laboratory. I worked together with MIT students, class of 2015, to develop this model of laboratory that can fit in developing communities. Here they can introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Chinchin.
And I'm Jakob. We first started working on this project in our last year in university when we got interested in developing a hands-on component to online science courses. And after graduating, we traveled to Rwanda for a year to work with a talented group of university students to test this low-cost lab model.
While working with the students at Kepler Tech Lab, we quickly realized that students were really interested in learning basic engineering skills, including programming, designing and prototyping products, and fixing electronics. So we redesigned and retested the course multiple times to more closely fit this community's needs.
Our hope is for the lab to become a place where students with interest and potential can learn the skills they need to excel as entrepreneurs or as employees in technical companies. Alphonse and his team are taking the lab in this direction, and we are excited to see what comes next.
All right, so my fellow lab developers are now grad students at University of California, Berkeley, and we are trying to answer this question: how can we work with the community to design a long-lasting and affordable engineering lab courses that can fit even in developing communities? This is because in those communities, there are no means just to acquire those fancy tools for lab and students to invent with those tools. Even though they can afford those tools, they don't allow students to think of those tools because of the fear of breaking them. So we are developing a model of laboratory to shift from rote memorization, traditional learning model, and to local relevant concept through practical hands-on experiences in renewable energy, electronics, paper recycling, computer programming, and creative capacity building, which is a model of MIT that invites local communities to collaborate and develop projects that can solve their existing problems. So we foster students' learning experiences, and I was first introduced to Scratch last year in October at Stanford when I was part of FabLearn conference there. So I came up with an idea of introducing Scratch to my laboratory to help students develop different computer programming skills, and we help them also exercise communication skills where they demonstrate their project to the whole class. And also we help students understand concept of electricity and electronics through different projects. Left corner, you can see students tinkering with Arduino, and here we were just teaching students concept of electricity through squishy circuits. And also we help students, because in their classroom, these students are from a nearby school and they learn physics and mathematics, but they don't know how those concepts apply in real life. Here students were building troubleshoot to understand the concept of physics and mathematics. On the top left corner, you can see students drawing a schematic diagram for troubleshoot to understand gravitational force and kinetic energies. They also learn how to use power tools, and we just get them in teams to collaborate so they can have that kind of collaboration skills. So here is how we develop students' projects. At the end of the program, each program is 14 to 16 weeks. So we help students brainstorm ideas. You can see we list different themes and we develop, we brainstorm together problems under each theme. You can see transportation, human resources, manufacturing, and we think about problems in these themes, and then we help students understand how they can come up with ideas to solve those problems. We evaluate students' success through different competencies, technical competencies, communication, and professional competencies, so we can give them feedback what they've done well and what they need to improve. Here are different projects that students have done. Here they were testing viscosity of Earth Enable, which is a local company that provides smart floor. So they were testing this, the oil of Earth Enable to help, to recommend the best approach to improve their floors. And students also did water-resistive envelopes to just do kind of paper recycling and be able to make those paper waterproofing. And here with my colleague, who was my former assistant, we developed an automatic irrigation system. The first prototype was to use simple electronic circuit using operational amplifier and some resistors. And you can see different multimeters. We are just testing different levels of this circuit. After proof of concept, we developed this system into Arduino to just make kind of automation and make some displays to the farmers if maybe the soil is dry or there are enough water in the soil. And I'm also Ruby on Rails developer. I'm starting web development career. I developed a system that helps local communities locate buses at the nearest bus stops. And the automatic irrigation system and bus system simulator, all these projects won Miss Gay competition in Rwanda 2016 and 2017. So the concept of the lab is to help students develop meaningful projects that can be turned into business opportunities. Other student projects are web-based platforms. Those are projects from our recent programming class. Students developed educational forum platform, History of Africa, which is a platform to share history of Africa, and healthcare, a platform that recommend good health centers in Rwanda. And farmer stock control system is also a management system that helps farmers manage their stock and record their inventories. So we collaborate with foundations, corporations, and other organizations to disseminate these ideas of practical hands-on experiences. There is Amanda from East Palo Alto. We spent 2 weeks together before I traveled to France to train students, above 500 students in Southern Province. There are other existing projects, not only Kepler Tech Lab in Africa, but also Practical Education Network in Ghana, Shikana Mikono, Teaching and Researching Natural Science for Development in Africa, Fab Lab Rwanda, which is providing digital fabrication workshop, and K-Lab, which is IT entrepreneurial space where they come together to share their experience and be able to get some seed funding on their projects. Thank you so much. You can reach out to our contacts.
Next from Nairobi, Max Musau, who hosted, well, that's also interesting to say, April 28, 29, the first African Scratch Conference was organized by Mercy from Nairobi together with Max Musau from Nairobi University. Well, introduce yourself.
This one? Yep.
Hello, everyone. My name is Max Musau. I'm a technologist at the United States International University in Nairobi, Kenya. This is what our university looks like. That's the most iconic image of our library. We have our hostels and our School of Business. Basically, what we organized Earlier on, in the last 2 years, actually, we've been working on having innovation camps at the university. And the point was to reach children of ages 12 to 19 that are interested in computer science, to help them demystify what computer science actually is. So we had innovation camps at the university and utilized the university resources. That's the advantage of having me or having a technologist working at the university. We're able to invite students from across Nairobi onto our campus and utilize the resources that we have on our campus to help teach computer science. Yes, so we use the content that Google CS First avails. So all the student needed was to have a set of earphones to be able to go through the content that Google provided. And what we managed was to go through about 30 hours of content through live video and practical exercises. We managed to have about 75 participants who created about 824 applications of varying complexity using Scratch, Python, and Intel XDK platform. We managed to empower the female participants, who are about 40%, which is a significant number in Africa. We also held career sessions with people from industry, from the tech industry, who came and decided to speak with the kids about careers and how to get into technology and how their journey was. And we also got a lot of media coverage from it. Here's a few images from our lab with some kids going through the CS First content here. That's me over there, taking them through some basics of the Raspberry Pi. And here we have some kids putting together a soil moisture sensor and coding it with Scratch. That was the end of the program. They each received certificates from our university, having gone through the content. And so moving on to the government of Kenya's digital literacy program. Our government is planning to roll out about 1.2 million devices to about 23,000 schools around Kenya. Before, the barrier was the equipment or the devices. Now that they have the devices, the next step is how do we roll out these kind of computer science programs into high schools across the country. That's our president giving out the tablets to different high schools across the country. And I left the last slide blank because it's an open slate. We've not written it yet, but the idea is now that they have the devices, how do we get computer science into the classrooms, maybe as part of an after-school activity or as part of the Kenyan curriculum. So we're looking forward to seeing how we can, bridge that gap to put it together. Thank you very much.
And who's next? Please give a warm welcome to Taryn, who will do her second plenary on the Scratch conference. Do you need some imagery? Or shall I just put on the Scratch side? And let's say users. I think the B should suffice. Yes, B suffices.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Was the barrier one? Now that they...
Oh, wait a second. We have an... Samson? Oh, please be quiet. We are... Please listen to your fellow African Taryn now on stage.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Taryn. I'm from South Africa. I'm basically just a kid who spends a lot of time on the computer, and I'm also a scratcher. When I was 12, I thought Bubble 103 would be a good username. Don't ask me why. I was young and foolish. But anyway, I guess I'm just going to tell my story, my Scratch story. And it just so happens that I am from Africa. So I'm just going to tell it from my perspective, because the things that you might find interesting from other countries are just facts of life for me. And right, so I guess it all starts with one lesson in my computer class at school. So computer class was basically a lesson that other teachers just pinched to get us to do extra work on other stuff and make PowerPoint slides. And it was like a room full of like 20 computers, you know, those big like brick things. And at that point, I didn't think computers were very interesting. In that class, I learned how to type and how to not hold the mouse with two hands, which seemed really ridiculous to me, because like how else are you supposed to play Mushy Monsters, that ice cream game, with only one hand? It's just not okay. And we were introduced to Scratch in just one lesson, and the teachers told us exactly what to do, what box to put in what order, and I was just like, yeah, is there a point to this?
Okay.
But I was intrigued enough to go home and download it, because I have, well, in my house there are more computers than people, because my parents were both software developers at that time, so managed to download Scratch and start messing around with it. And I've kind of been hooked on it since. And through Scratch, well, it's kind of hard to say in all the ways that it's changed the way that I see the world and the way I see myself, because it's so intertwined with my life. I don't really know how to separate it at all. I've been on for a long time. I started when I was 10, and I only joined the online community 2 years later. So I've just been doing a lot of scratching. I've been making a lot of things, and I've done some things I didn't think would be possible for me to do. And I haven't gone out and done amazing stuff like these amazing, amazing people. Yeah, you guys are awesome, by the way. I was just like fangirling in the audience. Because, yeah, I'm just 17, and I'm an awkward teenager, but I care a lot about my country and the African continent. And it frustrates me when I see the kind of challenges we face and the ugly scars that are left, and there's a lot of anger that people feel. And, well, I can either cry myself to sleep at night or I can do something about it, and that's the plan, because I found something that I love, and through these conferences, I found that there are other people like out there in the world that care about this stuff too. And if I can use the thing that I'm good at and that I love to make a difference, and I can see that it has made differences in so many children's lives, then that's what I'm gonna do, because for me, Scratch it's shown me the magic, and I wanna share that magic with other people. And I believe in Africa. You know, there was one thing that kind of stuck with me. I'm not sure where I heard it. I think it was probably a speaker that came to my school, and they were talking about how the government had lowered the passing grade for school to 30%. And they said, like, there's just this low expectation of the youth of South Africa. Like, we're not expected to do anything, so all that there's left to do is lower the bar, so somehow we can sort of just over it, you know? But I don't think that's the way to look at it. Like, and I know this because there's so much more we can do, and we're already doing it. You know, South Africa and Africa, we're already doing this stuff. And there's so much more that we can do. And so instead of crying myself to sleep at night, I feel really hopeful and inspired. And I hope to share some of this magic with as many people as I can.
Thank you. Thank you, Taryn.
That was totally improv.
Next up is John, who will do so what was the hashtag? You speak. This is John Okewole from Lagos, Nigeria.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, yesterday while we were discussing, and I was thinking about what opportunity we can actually engage with in this. This came up, building African momentum for scratch, BAM for scratch. I see giving a keynote as an extraordinary opportunity to actually engage with the great minds that are here. I'll pick up a quote from John Maxwell that says that one is too small a number to achieve greatness. So I believe in rallying around people to make use of all our great ideas to achieve it. Alphonse, Marian, Rose, Taryn, everyone, Max, even Samson is not here and perhaps is listening to us. They are already doing their dots and their bits on the continent of Africa. But when you consider the fact that Africa is 1.2 billion people right now, and 60% of those 1.2 billion are actually youths from age 0 to 24, then you know that we have a whole lot of work to do. Because while I was checking the internet this morning, I discovered that the population of the youth of Africa is actually the population of Europe. So consider what is happening in Europe about all these things right now and what we can actually, what we need to do. So our effort is very, very lovely, great, and loud, but it is not enough. We need more people. We need more challenge. We need to take it across to more corridors from Kigali to Tunis to Cape Town and come to Lagos, where I came from. It's a whole big place, and a whole lot of things are supposed to be happening there. So my challenge that I'm actually throwing in this keynote, and it's an opportunity, a lifetime one, is for us to think about it. How can we build momentum getting out from here to get scratch across cities, urban and rural areas in Africa from every nook and corner, so that in next year, by the time we will come, we'll have more people, will be double or triple of us that we can actually share about this scratch story. And we'll get more people from the government to the private sector and all of those things like that. So we've got ideas. I believe so much in the power of community and collaboration that Scratch is engaging us with. Go to Twitter and give us one of your ideas that you think is possible for us to keep on building a momentum for Africa, to create Scratch, to make Scratch to run across the whole of Africa. And I believe that we have so many things that we can talk about, from local support to localization to languages and so many things that are there. But it is not just one person. It's a collective thing. You can be part of it. You can make a voice for us. Just put the hashtag BAM for Scratch and let us know what you think we can do for this lovely continent so that we expand the Scratch family. Thank you.
Please stay on stage, as in the preparation of this conference, John, who registered all by himself and took care of his visum by himself. He's from Lagos, and Samson is from Port Harcourt, and he had some trouble, and up came John to help him, so they became friends. Please introduce Samson. Samson, are you there? Hello, Samson. Okay. We do it with the video of Samson. You introduce Samson. I would look for the video.
Samson Goddy is a 17-year-old boy.
Hello, Samson.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Samson, how are you doing? I think there'll be some form of latencies, but hello, Samson, how are you doing? I'm just
fine. I'm well.
Great. So I was just talking about you. We spoke last night, and you made mention of quite a number of things. You would not have actually heard about BAM for Scratch because it actually came early this morning for me. But now, most of the things that we talked about, that how we need to engage more people in Africa to be able to do things. You've been doing a whole lot of stuff from Port Harcourt to Lagos, and you have some guys, but you made mention of some key things that are very, very important. Would you like to share them to the audience here?
Yeah, of course. Hello, my name is Samson Goddy. I've been a Scratcher for about 11 years. When I was 11, and it's very awesome, and I just so missing everything right now. But I think that one of the problem, just like what Mr. John said, was a lot of Scratchers in Africa. I won't say because I'm from Nigeria. I know what people are going through in the country. So, but the thing is, I was discussing with John yesterday. I was sharing some problems like. We need to come up with an idea where we can join and the people in America, they have MIT, and stuff in Europe, they have Scratch, BDX, Scratch conferences in Africa, in Europe. We Africans, we tend to travel, over 14 hours to be in Europe. I was today, but I was rejected by the French embassy. I don't know why, but I think they went. I'm speaking in the conference, and that's very crazy. But the thing is, we need to come up with an idea. I know coming here today, and me speaking here today, creates an opportunity where kids can learn coding. The private sector is not helping matters. There's a hub called CC Hub. I don't know, most of you heard when Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook came to Nigeria. He visited the hub. They were showing him around how kids are using Scratch to learn, to create stories, and to creating, but they are not sharing their project online. So what's the whole point of doing Scratch? And the private sector, like the ones in Port Harcourt where I stay, they when they do summer programs, they make it quite expensive for kids. So parents with low income, the summer program. So
Samson, we're having trouble with the sound. Let me tell the people that you prepared a 7-minute video which will be shown in the Ignite session. And,
okay.
A final thought, because the sound is pretty difficult. Without the imagery? Well, no, but we're also running short on time. There are some more Africans in the room. Or, no, I'm killing it. What? Go on, Samson. People will give up their coffee for listening to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so at first, just like how Bobu shared her story, at first I was opportune. I was one of the students in Africa, in Nigeria, to receive the 1 laptop per child laptop. And at first, I was exploring the laptop and saw a strange looking stuff because I haven't really operated a computer before. I saw Scratch and it was very, very interesting. So I went back to school thinking I was the one that first discovered Scratch, only to go to school and see a lot of people shouting Scratch, Scratch, Scratch. Everyone was like, oh my God. Group, we creating stories, started creating games, started doing competitions. Like we sometimes keep our lunch break to Scratch. And then after I graduated from high school, I met some excellent in educational development, a a non-profit organization that helps to reach out to kids and secondary schools all over Nigeria. So I was like a volunteer for them for 4 years. Claudia, the instructor, but she stopped coming to Nigeria when they terminated the OPC project. So there was nobody taking over Scratch. And I was like, I had to meet the person in charge of the program. Like, okay, I'm willing to reach out to the kids with Scratch. Okay, you don't have to pay me. I'll have to sacrifice my time to teach Scratch, because they totally wanted to remove the Scratch from the curriculum. I was like, okay, I need to do this. So my job was to introduce Scratch to them, and they came up with an idea of Arduino. I think there's a board called Gogo board. I think that was like in MIT Miller back in 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember. Doing a lot of awesome projects with it. So that's one thing. I'm not here to talk about my story, because I already prepared that for the Ignite talk. It's time for the Scratch team and people that have the ability to fund us to doing Scratch conferences, Scratch workshops, just like this in Africa. Because that is very, very important. There are a lot of Scratches out there. Amazing job. I happen to be traveling some places in Nigeria, and I'm 17, and I want people to know what I know, because that's one thing about computing. The purpose is you imagine and you share. So that's one thing about Scratch, and I believe is going to put as a consideration. I know for sure that Africans are doing a lot of great jobs. We have people like Taryn in Lagos, I'm in Port Harcourt, and Max in Nairobi, and the rest of them in other African countries.
Yeah. So Samson,
I'm very sure.
Samson. Right? Yeah, all the people you're talking about, fortunately for us, I have them sitting in front of me right now, and they've actually made a presentation today. Now, but the key thing about what you have actually talked about that I know the audience do quite well is the fact that your story and other people's story here needs to be replicated across Africa, so that we have more people, more young people, youths, to be able to take up the Scratch message across, so that we can actually have more power. And if you listen to me while I was talking the other time, I said, now the population of the youths in Africa is about the population of Europe. So if we can actually take the concerted effort in Europe right now and drop it into Africa, we know it's going to be a mind-boggling thing. So now people will listen to you at the Ignite talk, and I'm very sure a lot of people definitely want to hear the story. But basically, like what he said and what with the discussion we had yesterday, it's just very simple. We need more effort. We need to expand this in Africa. Like I said, when I started, before it came on, you can actually go to AshBAM for Scratch, and tell us your idea, what you think we can actually do more in Africa to really make, Samson was talking about conferences like this that we should do, but we need conferences, we need workshops, we need cohorts and all of those things like that. And we need to talk about the curriculum and a whole lot of things like that, so that the schools will get permitted with the story of Scratch. So now that's the situation. So please use the hashtag BAM for Scratch and drop us your idea and what you think we should do. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. John, did you tell them to try jollof?
That's for you, Samson, and all the Africans. This plenary was prepared the last days, and not everybody could fit in this short time of preparation. But I please all Africans, come onto stage and show who you are. And not only the ones presenting, but all the other ones from Senegal, from Morocco, from... Please come on stage for a minute. From Angola. And, You know what John said is true. Africa has more people, more land, more resources to build computers from than Europe and America combined. And they have also more perspective, more languages, more religions, more everything. And as we all know, extra perspective gives a lot of insight. Questions? Are there questions for these people?
Well, this is not a question, but a suggestion. I think we should try and bring, like some of you echoed, this whole event to Africa soon. I would say invite us, I would come. I, for the last 9 years, spent some time with a couple of people from different continents to organize a conference on bioinformatics. I'm a bioinformatician in Rabat, Morocco, with the goal to set up a master's program. It took us 7 years. It took us 7 years to set up a master's program for 200 students in Rabat, Morocco in bioinformatics. And that just sparked. Now there are 7 master programs all over Rabat. So I think if we can just make the step to first bring in all the people, I think it's important also to bring in the policymakers to actually get them inspired as well, to see what happens in the community. I think they are a bit too detached. But involve them in roundtable discussions and have them do commitments. I think if we are able to do that, I would be really be willing to come over and see what you're doing there. I think it's more important that we also see it in real life, and it makes it also possible, I think, more practical for people from Africa to also attend these conferences. But I think it should not only be for the Africans. It should be for everybody who is involved in the Scratch community to come over and see how we can help you in doing what you actually dream of and are already doing right now. So thank you for what you're doing. I think that's what I just want to say. It's not a question, but just a big thank you.
All the way in the back. And if somebody on stage wants to say something on it, feel free. Pass on the mic.
Thank you.
So what's the question again? I can't hear
you. Sorry, I forget the name of my colleague at the front, but his question was, or his suggestion was, there ought to be a version of this conference sooner or later in Africa. And I was going to go in exactly the same direction for a second, and I have a different question. But if that happens, I'll go. If my university tells me, oh no, we can't afford it, it's going to be too far, that's fine, I'll pay for it, I'll go. My wife was born in Malawi, she would love to see me go and maybe to join in. But my question was going to be a different one, and that addresses to every one of you guys. Some of us here are able to bring our ideas, but also our creativity, our work with students and influence we have. If you had a wish of how we might use our intelligence and all our means for something, what would that be?
I missed the question. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. If you had a wish, so if we were able to help you in a direction, something that you wish could be happening, could be done, what would that be?
Who takes the mic on stage? This is your chance. There are a lot of rich people in the room, and there are also a lot of committed people in the room. It's not all about money, it's also about love and energy. You have them now.
I will speak in my personal point of view. I think I said that I was inspired by like Imagine program and Share. I think that the thing that we really need is inspiration and motivation. We can do this. I mean, we can do this. We can do our, I mean, by ourselves. But we just need to trust ourselves. They think what this is. They think what I wanted to say to the Tunisian. You can do it. Just try it. This is my point of view. So we can do it. I mean, we need, I think, inspiration from the others. And personally, I got it from the Scratch site and the whole community of the Scratch around the world.
My input to that question would be more of a knowledge sharing. Obviously, being in a conference like this was very inspirational to me, meeting everyone from across the world, doing amazing things. And if my students, and I'm sure everyone else can also say the same, if they can be able to see the amazing work that people are doing across the world, then they can also be inspired to think broader. We live in a situation whereby people are constrained by their environment, so they don't know what's beyond what they already know. So if there is a platform whereby they can share and work with young people and build, Scratch projects, yes, it's the community, but also on a personal level, I think that would be very beneficial, and also for us to also gain from you, the experts, and in your own individual fields, and grow from that.
And I think to add on that, for some of us, we are already speaking to some of you, and there's already commitment of working together, moving forward, partnership and sharing programs and sharing some of the activities we are doing. And so we'll be writing, and I know you'll be writing back to us. So I think the wish is already happening. We just need to keep the momentum going. Like Sam shared what the Kenyan government is doing. Like there could be maybe sometimes you have equipment, but we don't have like a program moving on. You could have a program, but you don't have actually the trainers or the inspiration to go around. So I think the momentum should just go on. I mean, bam for Scratch.
Allow me to add one more thing. I didn't mention the engineering educator, STEM educator by training and by passion. I guess if I could be provided with enough training and my team is well trained, we can do much more in Rwanda and possibly in other countries. Because I could say 95%, if not 100% of all of us who are standing here, we have our own initiative. We are not working with other institutions. My laboratory is within university, but it's not owned by university. It means it's my initiative to just educate kids around my community, but if I could get more trainings, I guess I could do much more.
We have many issues in Africa, but one of them is about the the internet connection. So if there is any one that you know who invented something to get high-speed internet connection via satellite or I don't know, whatever, in any way, that could help. It's part about sharing with the rest of the world as well. So in a very pragmatic way, talking about the MIT guys here, right?
Yeah, if there is like something as a teacher, I really want to see it, is like sheep robotics, Lego with $100. Is it possible that it does exist? I mean, Lego Mindstorm with less than $100, it will be like a great thing.
More? Final question goes to Zoe.
This is so inspiring. It's opened up a whole world that I knew existed but didn't have any contact with. So thank you for coming here and sharing all your stories. My question is are you, I've just sort of been introduced to all of you. Have you met each other before? Did you know about each other's work? How many more initiatives are there out there? How do you all work together beyond here on such a huge, huge continent?
Well, we were lucky to meet before, thanks to JOEC and thanks to Scratch. We had a conference in Nairobi earlier in the year, and I think at least 70 80% of us met. We had discussions. That was our first in, for some of us, into the Scratch movement, because I did Scratch before, but then that was my only thing that I learned by myself. But then by the time that I was contacted by Joek, and then we came together in Nairobi, that's when I got a bigger picture. Like, this is more than you doing alone. There's more people doing exactly what you're doing, and that it could be much bigger. And that's what led to some of us being here. I actually just, personally, I and my team, I went back and then I was able to tell them that there's this and this happening. They were like, yes, we're going. So we ended up coming, 3 of us from Tanzania. And I think, as you're saying, us working together, we will be probably that drop you put in an ocean, because once we go back, just like the way my team responded, probably when we start doing more, then more people will respond, and this will be a bigger movement in Africa as well.
John wants the mic.
I think the first thing I'm going to say is this. Jack has actually done a great job bringing all of us on stage. Please just help me to give me a round of applause, please. Thank you very much. The next thing is, even Samson, I never knew Samson until there was an issue. I did not talk about it initially when I was talking, but I developed a toolkit courtesy of commissioned by the Commonwealth of Learning in Canada for teachers to be able to use Scratch and to be able to develop Scratch. I was kind of like looking for Scratch conferences that I'm going to present it in. So I registered for this conference, and it even was late, and it took me in. And I saw something about Africa, and I was like very inquisitive. I was asking him, so he was saying a lot of things. So all what we are talking about right now, we can't really achieve so much if it's a dot everywhere. Now, that is why he has started something already for us, because now I can recognize Tara's work and every other person, and Adel and all that. But now we can actually move forward with a more focused approach with all what we are doing to make sure that we get more force to do things in Africa, because there are still more scratches there that we really don't know individually. They are doing some great work, but we need to have more concerted efforts, and I appreciate what Africa Code Week is doing. I'm getting along with that too on that. So when we do a massive effort, and for what Charles asked about a wish, my wish is for us to, as we're on stage in Bordeaux, that sometimes very soon we should be on stage in either Nairobi or Johannesburg or Lagos or wherever, and we should be able to talk about Scratch, so that by the time we do that, now everybody, the message will get resonated across Africa, and by the time and if that gets done, then we'll see more buzz, and we'll be able to rally out to get more people that will be on the Scratch platform. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bump for Scratch. And yeah, a warm applause for all these people who made it to here and shared their story. Thank you. I'll take 1 more minute of your coffee time by inviting Alan on stage. Alan McCullough, is he there? Yes. He needs his own VGA. Alan will tell you about the after event tomorrow, and it's not part of the Scratch conference, but we are helping out. No. And what time do we have? Oops. Okay, we took 20 minutes from coffee pause. Let's say we claim 10. We do a coffee pause of 20. We start at 11:10. Next session round of parallel sessions will start at 11:10, not 11.
Okay. That's quite symbolic. Your battery is running low, 10%. I don't think I'm the only one.
You only took 30 seconds. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do I stand up and talk after them, even for 1 minute? This is the one session that I got to in the whole event, and I think it was the most important, to be honest. Je m'appelle Adel Kassah, je suis irlandais et français. Et pour continuer avec ce qu'on vient d'entendre, il faut sortir d'ici et amener le Scratch au monde. Et il m'a donné 1 minute, je demande 2 minutes pour faire en français et en anglais. So my name's Adel Kassah, I'm Irish and I'm French, and you asked me to speak for 1 minute, so I'm going to ask a bit of patience. I want to speak for 2 minutes so I can speak in French and in English. So tomorrow in Marché des Douves, from 10 o'clock in the morning, we're going to do what the guys and girls from Africa were just saying, to start bringing it out into the world, and it starts here. C'est ici, that means in French, it's here. There's a few little symbols in there that you might pick up, including the CC. So it's a celebration of code and creativity. It's here in Bordeaux, but it starts here, and it continues, and it's already started. So in Marché des Douves, in Marché des Douves, where we were for the evening events, it'll be in there. I'll switch to French just for a second. C'est donc au Marché des Douves demain, donc on va faire un événement qui s'appelle C'est ici. C'est pas choisi par hasard, parce qu'on est ici, on amène vers l'extérieur. Et c'est une célébration de code et de créativité. C'est ce qu'on appelle, comme en français, une auberge espagnole. J'aime jouer avec les langages et les langues. Donc chacun amène son plat de scratch, de code, de créativité. So we have an expression in French called auberge espagnole, which is when everyone gets together and puts plates, brings their own food with them, and shares it together. And it's informal. It started off as a pejorative term, now it's fashionable, it's trendy, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow. It'll be an auberge espagnole, but of coding, creativity, and a celebration of what's been happening here. So thanks for your 2 minutes. Merci pour les 2 minutes. Bonne continuation.
Thank you. It will be loads of workshops for the children, and if you think you can contribute with a workshop, you're welcome. It's the same building where masterclass of GP will take place, and Brian Harvey will do a grown-up session on recursion. Well, no. Anyhow, coffee. Enjoy.